So the methods, the ways of communicating, it's very much an energetic language. The challenge, I think, for the newer generation is not to get lost in the non-physicality and the information, the abstract information. Because when we get into the astral or our imagination, which is part of the astral functioning of the human mind as a physical being, because we can imagine anything, we can dream anything, and we're using that astral substance to do that, I feel. We can get lost in that, and we can create our own worlds in that. And the purpose for souls coming in is to bring all your skills, bring all your abilities, bring all your knowledge into this world, because the planet needs us. Humanity needs us. The animals need us. Everything here is in a very tumultuous place. Mm-hmm. And the light workers have to bring themselves here, mm-hmm. and not disconnect. And I see a lot of spirituality is pockets of like-minded spiritual people hiding on their computers, away from the world, talking about all the same stuff, and they don't stop talking. And it's like the world saying, like waiting for the souls to like come in and do projects and like help the people that aren't awakened, and just do kind acts of service and create businesses that are simple and easy, that help humanity. So you're not like 25 years old living in your parents' basement, mm-hmm. because you have all these great gifts and you have this love and you have this light, but you're afraid to bring into the world, because the world can be a scary place until you start coming into it, and then you realize how happy of a place it is. Right? I read something the other day, and it was a blog that someone wrote, and they were getting ready to end a part of their life, like working in the business world, and move into a mobile life, right? Live in an RV and travel around the world. And they said they were afraid that people like weren't going to be friendly, they were going to feel isolated, like it's a big bad world, because that's what they see on the news. And they said, you know, we've been doing this for a year, and we had like one experience of someone being mean. Everyone else opened their houses to us. Everyone else wanted to hear our stories. Human beings are such beings of love, and we've been conditioned to believe that they're not there. Everywhere I've looked, I've found God, I've found happiness. And the energy creating every atom is this blissful life energy. And so we can be the person who shines a little light and lives with a little more wisdom than they are living with. Not to be better than them, but to say, I'm not going to be mad at you. Right? So we have to be very discerning and be in control of ourselves to always bring through our peace, our compassion, our love, our oneness as best we can. So while I channel for you, just be in a relaxed state of open awareness. Allow yourself to be present to anything that may arise in your mind, your emotions, or your body. As you connect more into your own higher self state, there may be changes that happen. It's all coming from your own connection. So just allow it to be present and trust this process. I'll now begin. Dear one, close your eyes. Feel the center of your chest and be at peace. You, dear one, are the light of God. You are the shining, radiant self. All that you see is one with you. All that you hear is inside your own being. Feel your heart and this open space of awareness. Feel the energy of life all within your perception, beyond your body, in this world, within your body. Your light, dear one, is that power of creation. Feel that light everywhere. Good. Now as we communicate with you, stay in this state. feeling your heart's radiant power, feeling the space around your body, the entire field of your perception, and allow this journey to occur. You, dear one, have brought us here today to try to understand. You thought you came here to understand us, to understand this channel and the higher self. But in truth, dear one, you came to understand your own being. You came to understand the reality that you call your life, and the mind that you call yourself. We are all, dear one, part of a singular process. All the forms within your body, mind, and emotion are constantly in a state of awakening. All the forms in your perception around you are constantly supporting your awakening. And so we have appeared at the right time in your life, the right moment in your journey of expansion, offering to you that which you receive. We are simply expressing ourselves, radiating the energy of what we are, sharing the knowledge through this channel's voice, and you receive, dear one, that which is here for you. And so as our words come into your mind, be aware of what arises in your own understanding. As our energy shines upon yours, be aware of that which arises within you. It is perfect, dear one. It is always perfect. You are the light of God. You are the truth. God is not something to find. God is what always is being experienced. And you are that experience. To reach the greatest states of realization, we must release the feeling that God is separate, that the universe is separate. We must understand that the God that appears is the same as the God that is perceiving. There is no difference at all. Feel your heart, for this is the doorway into that realization. Feel your heart and realize there's nothing you need to do with the power of your effort other than stay here in open awareness to the all that is right now. Feel your heart and the space of consciousness, and allow, dear one, everything. Allow everything as it is. And now, dear one, now we would like to ask you to open your eyes and to ask us what you would like us to answer, so that those who come through you to your video production can be led to us through your energy field, because you, dear one, are creating this on your soul's path. This is one of your many gifts into your universe. This is one of your many heart-centered gifts to awaken yourself to who you are and to awaken the souls to who they are. There is an experience when we expand our consciousness that the boundaries of separation dissolve. In these higher realms of energy, the belief, the feeling, the knowing of a separate self disappears, and so you become the information that is in your perception. you become that which is being channeled. You are the same consciousness, the same knowledge and energy as that which is being experienced through you. The deeper we go within ourselves, the more we experience oneness. And so I am you in that state. As I channel for you, we are connected in that greater place. And that which I am bringing through this body, you can be bringing through this body. You connected into a greater part of yourself, yes. And there were other beings of consciousness there also, other souls aligned. We are seeing this now as we speak with you. And so we see you standing there, a representation of you, your energetic field, and we see the alignment of seven others, creating a group of 8. Now the consciousness of all of these beings is shared. The experience is shared between them all simultaneously. And as you bring through the information of this group, you are one of this group. It is like, dear one, each member of the group having a singular experience, all shared together, because their minds are merged in that moment. Now the group, dear one, has been asked to be called the One. We have asked this channel to call us the higher self. When he first reached into us and received us, well, we shouldn't say at first, it took many years because he had been communicating with us his entire lifetime. But after a few times of communicating with us as an adult where he was consciously performing it. See, earlier in his life it was coming through him, intuition, guidance, but he was not aware of even the possibility of what this was. Then he learned that there is something I can interact with. Just like I can see the memory, I can communicate with this other understanding, or I can allow it through my form as myself. And so this channel asked, what do you want to be called? He already knew it was part of himself, but he needed a name for the sake of the videos. And so we said the higher self. And he actually spoke with us. And he said, but we're one, and there is no higher and lower, and there is no self and other. I don't know if I feel comfortable calling you this. And we said, yes, we understand. Your understanding is that there is no separation. But the minds of the human beings that are hearing your words need to have a definition. They need to have a label. They need to have something to help them understand. And so we call it the self. But we must differentiate between the different parts of a being's intelligence so they understand there is a higher part of themselves guiding this human incarnation. And so we have selected the higher self because this terminology serves the benefit of the audience. In the same way, your higher connection, your higher self, right, your group mind, right, because it all begins as one and all is one, your group mind has to be called the One, because that fits your path, that fits your journey at this time. Yes, it is all the same, and the further we go into the source of ourselves, the more we go into the source of the singularity of all things. It's paradoxical in a way, how one thing can be manifesting and appearing as so many separate things. But as we go deeper within, we experience ourselves as being the same as the other separate things. We share minds, we share energy systems, we can even share physical perception. Some souls may say they have bilocated or awoken their consciousness in the body of another being that was having a different lifetime. Your consciousness just became merged with the consciousness of another soul inside that body. You were sharing the same experience, and you were perceiving, I feel like a different personality, because you were a different personality. Your perception, that open, empty, clear aspect of yourself, migrated to a different form to experience what that form was having as its experience. You see, dear one, right now you've chosen the physical body to experience the physical body's experience. And you've chosen the emotional body to experience that emotional body's experience. If you strip away all the forms, what's left? There's no experience. the forms we have learned to identify with, rather than just experience. Your consciousness can truly shift into any forms. That's why we can have a shared mind, because there is an experience of form in which all the minds are together. We can look into a soul's probable future. It's important to understand that this is a creative process. The purpose of the universe is to be creating constantly, and you are God consciousness. And so you are creating while the forms are also creating. Think of it like this. All the forms hold memory. They hold the impression of what has been happening to them. And so they're automatically going to just continue repeating the impression of the past. It's like, dear one, if you have a ball and you push it, the ball will keep rolling until the momentum of the ball stops. But you can touch it again and push the ball in a different direction if you wish. You're that hand of God. And all the forms of life have been rolling forward in their own ways because we as consciousness have been creating with them. And we can reach in at any time and change the direction. The meditative practice of witnessing means we take our hand off and we just let things roll. And some things lose the momentum eventually, like the thought process and the personality. We let it lose all its contained energy. If we stop adding importance to something, we stop putting our soul's creative power into it, and it loses its energy. In your future, you are choosing what to put your energy into, and so everything is probable. Now we can look at your life and say, these forms have been carrying a lot of energy, so this future is highly probable. Some souls come to us and they say, I want to have this experience. And we look at their life and we say, well, all the energy is going to a different experience. And so it's not very likely that you're going to have the experience you think you want. And they may be upset with us and say, well, isn't it just manifestation? Don't I just have to think it and God will do it? And we say, well, that is true, but the power of your mind determines the strength of your push. And if you can take all your energy, and you have a lot of energy, and you can direct your mind into the energy field of the physical earth, your mind alone could move the events of your life. But the power of that mind is great, and it takes time and great intelligence and discipline to cultivate it. So we could look at future events on your behalf or on the behalf of others who ask, but nothing is destined, things are probable. And some things, well, they're set in place from higher parts of a person. It's like your soul knows that an event must happen at a certain time in your life, and because your soul is so powerful, your human self can't really change it. It's going to happen. It may not happen on an exact day, but it will happen at an exact time period. As events align, it's going to happen. And so we could look and say, at this time, in this period of time, this string of days, a few years from now, this experience is going to happen because your soul desires it to happen. And it needs to happen to change the course of your life for the benefit of your soul's evolution. We can also share that sometimes beings want to ask what the future is going to be. But if that information is given into the minds of a soul that is not able to live with it properly, that information would cause too much interference in the path of their life. You see, oftentimes human beings doubt themselves, they doubt their lives, they don't feel a connection of trust. And it is helpful if they have concepts to hold on to. But if we give concepts of a certain type to certain souls, they will hold on to them, and then they will interfere with the choices that they need to make for their own journey of growth. It's like if you believe so much that something is going to happen, it can block you from taking the steps that would otherwise naturally flow through you, that would allow that future to happen. So there is a harmony in this creative process that can get quite complex. When we channel for beings, we can bring through the information that is relative to what they need to know, that supports them in living their highest potential, their soul's path in this world. And often this information can get very specific because the souls are ready to receive it. In this lifetime, his soul is really learning how to expand the expression of himself into the world. You see, many of his lifetimes were very much lived inside himself. Research, creating an individual life, lifetimes of meditation, for example. But in this lifetime, there's growth required of this aspect of his soul, because a soul is really split into many different incarnational developments all at once. And so this aspect of his soul needs to evolve into a greater manifest expression of what he knows inside himself. And this also helps him to awaken to more of what he is, because the division between self and other gets further removed when we allow the expression of ourself to be in this external human world. And as a lifetime event occurs in another lifetime, it actually has a vibrational impact on what's happening right now in your lifetime. And many souls have accessed this information within themselves, and in the higher realms, we could say it is common knowledge. Because the higher part of yourself is living that experience of the multidimensional nature happening in a simultaneous moment. Those who are ready to understand it, those who are ready to live more of the knowledge, not just conceptually, but live by it, will find this support. Also, this planet DL1 is receiving more energy of this type, and that is supporting the growth of even the unconscious human beings that are still on their journey of awakening as well. The key word is responsibility. And responsibility for the oneness. This also means responsibility for our creative actions. That we are living in an understanding that everything that comes through us affects everything else, and it affects all time and all space. This is why many of the non-physical beings and extraterrestrial beings are so concerned with the human journey right now, because everything happening within this part of the universe is affecting every other part of the universe and every time within the universe. The human physical mind has difficulty understanding this concept because it is linear in the formation of its memory. But the other parts of the human perception are beyond linear time, such as the emotional body. You can have a feeling that is not based upon what's happening now, but something that your mind is connected to at a different lifetime, right? Future, past, different realities. Responsibility for one's creation is very important at this time in the learning of the human souls, because every individual is so heavily focused on their own needs and their own wants. And without the humanity coming together to harmonize in a co-creative effort, the world will feel like it's getting pulled apart more. Right? And we're seeing this physically. Look what's happening to the earth changes. The land is getting pulled apart. Right? Human beings are pulling apart psychologically, and the earth is being pulled apart as well, because it's all one organism. It's all one interconnected, multidimensional reality. What we can say, dear one, is there are frequencies, and the frequencies are infinite in possibility. There are dimensions yet to be created, because the mind of God has not yet created them. Think of it like this. There is an idea that has not yet been thought. It doesn't yet exist in this human experience of time. And when it gets thought, it is created and it exists. That is another dimension. Every thought, every vibration, every experience is a creation unto itself. Creations are organized into greater collectives, and this would be called a planet, a human experience, what humans often call a dimension. It's a collection of organized energies. Your chakra system has been created the same way. Each chakra, dear one, is like a floor of a building, and you have these 7 floors manifesting your human chakra system that's embodied. Each floor is decorated differently. It has a different theme to it. And so we can discern the differences because the themes are different on each floor. We perceive the connection between the similar vibrations and label it as one thing. Here's the dimension of your first chakra, here's that plane of astral reality, your second, third, fourth, and so on. And so the labeling system denotes numbers, but we can get very, very specific and create an unthinkable number of labels for all these different discernments of vibration. And we can extend it in every possibility. And when a new creation is thought, well, then it exists also. In the timeless sense, all creations already are existing. They're just appearing in our perception relative to time and space. So the perception defines time, but the existence of the energy is all-knowing, all-powerful, all-pervasive. because perception at one point had split itself into a separate feeling, a separate existence. And so time is defined by the existence of a separate perception. There's nothing wrong with you. We work, we try, we seek, because deep within us is the wounding that we feel there's something wrong with me. We project this same wounding onto the world, believing there's something wrong with the world. And as such, our mind creates a division and no longer sees the perfection. Because inside ourselves at the beginning there's a belief of imperfection, we call this the belief of sin, original sin. Because we have consciousness have created the belief of original sin, original imperfection, we then manifest an entire conceptual experience that something needs to be changed, something needs to be done. And from that place manifests all the chakras, all the karma within the chakras. And everything that we do as human beings originates from that original trauma, that wound, that feeling of separation, the feeling that I'm not perfect. When we start to truly accept ourselves just as we are, something opens up within us that's very different than anything we've ever known before. And it is the experience of unconditional love. And it is felt within our hearts. It is known within ourselves. And it is truly great. Beings are drawn to this energy. Beings are drawn to know this, to experience this, because it is the unity frequency that we are all searching for. When we stop dividing ourselves in our own understanding, then everything returns to the unity that it has always been. And the world still looks the same, because the appearance of separation is not the same as separation. Space is not separating but connecting. Space is a creation that allows for an act of perception. It is not a separation between God and anything else. But we have been taught this way. The memory is in the physicality, it's in the DNA, it's in the body. The memory is in the astral dimension. This memory is creating the evolution of the soul. And so even the having of the experience that I am not good enough, that I am separate, that I am not complete, that is the reason why souls are on the journey of existence. So even that there is nothing wrong with. We have just given you the secret, the actual secret, not to manifest cause and wealth, but the secret of how to actually experience this reality without any illusion, without any suffering. And so try to trust, just trust that what we have shared is true, that there is nothing wrong with you, that right now and always there has never been anything wrong with you. And if you trust that idea, you hold it inside your mind and it will grow. The seed of karma that we have planted will grow, and it'll start to change these other beliefs and these other emotions that appear to be separate. And like any seed, it must be allowed time. So be patient, but continue to trust. Write this upon your walls. Write this upon signs and put it around your life. Water the seed by remembering again and again, there's nothing wrong with me. Now understand that the trusting of this information is not a justification for your personal desires, because your personal desires are often coming from that place of feeling that there's something wrong with you. We're not talking about mental concepts, we're talking about a relationship with yourself. We're talking about holding inside yourself such a deep knowing, and that'll change the root karmas of all these other ideas that are causing you to act out in ways to seek for happiness, to cause suffering, to feel separate, divided, and alone. So if there is one thing we can share, it is that you are perfect. Everything in this moment is perfect, and there's nothing wrong with you. Thank you, dear one, for joining us today and for opening your heart to us and to the universe that is your creation.